Hello. Welcome to the Fantasy Fight Night podcast. I actually have adequate lighting this week.
Yes, you do. I was going to comment on that, actually.
Finally figured that out. Well, I had been listening to the podcast and I kept forgetting, I've been doing a audio medium. I forgot this is a visual medium.
Yeah.
So today I have appropriate lighting and appropriate gear.
It's perfect.
So I'm ready.
And I got to tell you, you look great. You really do.
Gosh. Thanks, man.
Welcome, like you said, to the Fantasy Fight Night podcast. We have other podcasts that we are hosts of. I host the Bet Bath & Beyond podcast for B3T Sports. It's over on the B3T Sports YouTube page. Adam, you are also the host of the Kirk Crew Fantasy podcast. You can find that wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want a shot at a free if you want a free shot at a jersey from B3T Sports, there you go. It's not a B3T Sports jersey, although that would be fucking cool. If you want a shot at it, go to b3tsports.com/contest. Last year's, oh my goodness, last month's winner, Rob White, he grabbed a wonderful Rob Gronkowski jersey. So, like I said, if you want a shot at that, go check out b3tsports.com/contest. You have a stat for me here today?
Yeah, Darrell Williams had 21 carries this last week. A number that CEH has only topped twice.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that at all. Like, it makes me actually nervous that Andy Reid is seriously only playing Clyde because of his draft capital. It really makes me think he doesn't like him as a player, right? Because
everything indicates that Clyde, he got back-to-back 100-yard rushes.
Yeah.
You figure, okay, they're starting to figure it out.
I
don't know that he's the best runner on his team.
No, and Clyde is a good running back. Like, I don't want anyone to, like, people sometimes look at fantasy and real football and think that they're the same. They're not. Like, you can be a good running back and not necessarily be the best fantasy.
No, Trevor, look at the camera. No, Trevor, they're not.
But so, flip side, you can be a not great like actual running back. I mean, Alex Collins is fine, but he was good for fantasy because of opportunity the last couple weeks. I think like it's important to note that I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a good running back, but I think they really grabbed him that early because he didn't fumble at all at LSU, and he didn't even fumble at all his rookie year. He's had 3 fumbles so far this year already. Now he's hurt, but I think they grabbed him because he's safe and they needed an upgrade at the position, and they thought that that's what they would get with him, a safe upgrade, but it just hasn't turned out to be that way. My stat this week is that this one's just kind of interesting. According to Pro Football Focus, Carson Wentz rates number 1 on 10-plus yard passes with a passer rating of 147.8, 7 touchdowns, 0 turnover-worthy plays. Carson Wentz, when he gets time, I mean, he is a good quarterback. I don't know what. He's looking better these last couple weeks. The first couple weeks were rough, but he's coming off injury, and I feel like he's always coming off of injury, right?
Yeah.
So, as far as tonight goes, we usually watch the game while we're recording. We're gonna not do that this time. We're gonna try to just give the lovely audience, our full undivided attention. However, do you have any games riding on tonight, like in your fantasy matchups?
No, I don't. I did. I had a chance. And basically, I needed Stephon Diggs to not score a touchdown.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs to not score a touchdown?
Yeah.
Did he score a touchdown already?
Yeah.
Okay. What I need is a combined 5 more points for the rest of the game from Dawson Knox and Julio Jones. And then I will win my Megalo Bowl league. Otherwise, all my other leagues are decided. And it was a pretty good week for fantasy so far.
Yeah, just watching Taylor Wan, the tackle for the Tennessee Titans. He had to get carted off earlier, apparently.
You're kidding. I did not see that.
No, in, Ryan Shazier type hit.
Ooh, that's not.
He's on a full body board.
That's like, I mean, interesting maybe is not the right word given context, but it's strange. But I feel like offensive linemen don't see those high contact plays because they're so close to each other. Yeah, there's a lot of force because they're massive individuals, but they're very close. So I feel like something that really must have gone wrong there. But that leads into our injuries and news and notes section here. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, that was a doozy. I don't know. There is positive news to it in a sense. They called him to put him on IR on Saturday, which means, well, yesterday did count as one of his games, so he only has 2 more weeks yet. That was smart that they did that. But yeah. I don't know how you go from it's a 0.5 hamstring sprain or strain to he sits 2 weeks and then you put him on IR anyway. I don't understand the thought
There's
process.
some teams that just don't understand how to manage injuries.
That's true. Panthers are probably one of them. So that's super unfortunate. But he's out for at least 2 more weeks. A lot of Chuba owners got rid of him because they thought that they were going to get CMC back. Chuba is a stash the whole season. I mean, if there's any indication that this could be like last year, you're going to get a starting running back who is viable. And there was talk at a point in the Panthers subreddit they should just move Christian McCaffrey to the slot, try to save his health.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's not what you pay the guy for.
It's not, but if they pay him a lot anyway, and if he can't play at all, then I mean it's kind of...
Yeah, but you're never paying that much for...
No, not at all. But he is special. So, I mean, we're just going to call it McCaffrey tax, I guess. Okay, say what you want about Baker Mayfield, but that dude's tough. Like, he's playing through a severe shoulder injury.
That guy's wired differently. He re-dislocated his shoulder. Re-dislocated.
And he came back in.
Actually, technically a subluxation.
Now,
because going out and coming back in. But
the thing that bothers me, and I would love to get your take on this, I mean, Baker's not a guy that you're, like, super starting in fantasy anyway. I mean, if you really like the matchup, I guess, and you're, like, looking to stream and you need a guy, sure. But Baker's not a guy I'm starting in many of my leagues. Now, the fact that Odell is back and he hasn't been playing very well, like for fantasy, is this on Odell or is this just on Baker because he's hurt and he just can't play the game the way that he should be able to play the game?
I mean, Odell's had basically 80 yards in 2 of the games and less than 30 in 2 of the games. No touchdowns. You see other receivers do this. He starts getting touchdowns. It's gonna change the tune. It'll be interesting with it being a Thursday night. I don't know if they're going to be able to do enough to manage his pain. Yeah. And Broncos haven't done well enough against good defenses like the Browns have to make me think that Case Keenum couldn't be in there and win the game for them.
Right.
At least for a week and give Baker some extra time off.
Sure. But that's something to monitor for sure. Check that because they're getting a second opinion, and if it looks bad enough that the pain is kind of wonky, then they will probably be starting Keenum. So Campbell had a foot injury, and their coach said that it did not look good. So he's definitely going to get placed on IR. I don't know if it's season. It
sucks. Paris Campbell can fly.
Oh yeah, and his counterpart was looking amazing on the other side of the field. T.Y. Hilton is out again. Like he came back and
he got a quad injury.
Like he came back and played like 12 snaps or something ridiculous, and then quad injury.
Yeah.
Pittman looks amazing. He is a breakout candidate like for this season. He is athletically gifted. He is a freak.
Yep. We're doing injuries.
I'm just saying that like this is important because I don't know. I want to know what you think happens with that because there's a lot of speculation in the fantasy world when you've got a number one receiver who's really good. He's going to get all the volume. He's going to get all the targets because now they don't have anyone else, right? Because Campbell's out and Hilton's out. But he's also going to get everyone's number one corner. So, like, what wins out here for you?
The talent of Michael Pittman's going to went out. He's he's built like Mike Evans.
Yeah.
He's not the same pedigree. He's built like so.
By the way, update from Sleeper. The lineman for the Titans, he has movement in all extremities. He is just now being evaluated for a concussion, so that is good news.
Okay, because I saw the
stretcher
injury to play in a 330-pound man.
Yeah.
He hit somebody and dropped and was not moving at all.
Dak threw the game-winning touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb against the Patriots in Foxborough, and on that throw, apparently he strained his calf. They're saying that it's going to be fine. He did get an MRI. Nothing negative from the MRI. I'm not too worried about
They've
this.
got a bye week.
Yeah,
He's going to get it massaged all week. Not from any of Deshaun Watson's recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor, he's day-to-day. I mean, I don't think there's any question that if Tyrod Taylor is healthy, that he is the starter for this team, right? I mean, they're not going to go the Davis Mills route still, right?
Yeah, that one's interesting. Look, they don't have a whole lot of pieces. And Davis Mills, for what he was drafted as, has shown he can at least throw the ball around the NFL field. He needs to be able to close out games, but you also need talent around you for that to happen.
Right.
Tyrod was balling.
He was.
And it looks like their team, his ceiling could definitely push them forward, but they're in a lost season. I think they have to see what they have going forward in the rookie.
Sure.
But if they play Tyrod, he's definitely an interesting asset for fantasy to monitor.
And I think Brandon Cooks jumps back up to what we saw at the beginning of this. I mean, Brandon Cooks is still
He's
fine.
just had some bad matchups.
Oh no,
Trust me.
I agree with that. But it's undeniable to me that Tyrod won't be better than Davis Mills as getting Brandon Cooks the ball. Calvin Ridley, he rejoins practices after he had a personal matter. It hasn't surfaced what that was. I don't really care what that was, but he was away from the team. He did not travel to London, but he is back now. So, I mean, doesn't really matter because
you have somebody to take the pressure off of Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
that's all we care about.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley has not been it this year, and I'm sure it's just a slump. I think it could be. Matt Ryan looks okay, at least fantasy wise. Kyle Pitts looks like he has the tools to be the tight end everyone wanted him to be. So we'll see. That's good for everyone involved that Ridley's back. But next up, Chubb did not play. Kareem Hunt did play, exited the game. Their running back situation is dire, I feel, in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see. Chubb wasn't put on IR. That's a misconception that's going around the fantasy footballers are spreading.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know
they haven't
how they messed it up
there yet. So
no, and they said he has a chance to play this week. We'll see. You need to get to the playoffs. I think you can beat the Broncos with your defense. Put Case Keenum in. Run a very conservative game plan. Eat up clock and do just fine. So that's my thought.
Now, Kareem Hunt is also not technically on IR yet, but it's looking like he will.
He will be. They said 4 to 6 weeks.
Antonio Gibson has not gotten the usage that we expected as fantasy.
No, he's gonna be shut down for a little bit here.
He's got to be. If you can't finish a full game,
the shin really got banged up this week. The previous week he looked good.
Yeah. I mean, go get J.D. McKissick is all I got to say.
Go to J.D. McKissick, and if McKissick's not there, go get Jarrett Patterson. He was the Buffalo running back who scored 8 touchdowns in a game. So I think he'll be their runner.
Sure.
And they don't trust J.D. McKissick on the goal line. So if you're hurting for a running back, it never hurts to grab somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't want to be late to this thing. You could be early. I think that's why. If you're the Antonio Gibson owner, you should have McKissick, in my opinion, especially since week 3, just because of how they've been using them. But if you are the Gibson owner and you don't have him, go look for him. He's available in a fair amount of places. And then Alex Collins, he got injured. Rashad Penny is coming off of IR. Are you excited for that at all? Or are you kind of like, eh?
If Alex Collins is healthy, he'll be the guy. Aside from that,
No. The Seahawks looked okay against the Steelers, but I don't think either team really even looked
they
that
figured
good.
it out
Yeah.
late, but they're gonna distribute the runs.
Yeah. And then Chris Carson is on IR,
Yeah.
which sucks. But, I mean,
Yeah, the status of that injury, that's something to really monitor.
it's a neck injury. Those are terrifying for any football player.
Well, man, and just some of the readouts that I've had is a lot of people think that he doesn't play another snap as Seahawk, and
Oh,
that's from
really?
the medical community. So, health comes first. I wish Chris Carson the best, but it's something to monitor, especially in Dynasty.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to throw a dart at getting Alex Collins
Right.
or Rashad Penny. Now, make them pay cents on the dollar.
Of
Don't
course, yeah, 'cause
overpay.
You're not going to be able to.
But
I mean, starting running
this
back in the
team
NFL
doesn't
is
have a
starting running
first
back.
round. Yeah, well, he doesn't have a first round. Tell that to the Jets.
Well,
tell that.
the Seahawks are currently 2-4, and the Jets have the Seahawks first round pick this upcoming year for
Yeah.
Jamal Adams, who has not played very well. He has 0 sacks on the season. He has, I want to say, he has 2 interceptions that have bounced off his hands. He's just looked not worth the price tag. So. All right, those are our injuries. That's our news notes. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into last week?
Cole Beasley just scored a touchdown,
Oh, of course he did. That's not good for him.
and he was left wide open.
He's
and
been
Brett
kind of
Coleman tweeted
quiet
out.
this season.
Yeah, he has. But to be fair, I don't really fault the Titans defensive backs for not wanting to be more than 6 feet away from Beasley.
I
So,
would agree with that.
He was
So-
left wide open.
Oh, man. I think that we are in a good spot here. Let's move on to our last week's recap. So we have the top 5 quarterbacks. Again, this is during the Monday night game. Some of these things could change. They definitely changed last week. Lamar jumped himself into the top.
Yeah, Lamar went nuclear.
Mark Andrews put himself into the top. just so. But as of right now, where it stands, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford, and Patrick Mahomes. Kirk Cousins.
This list makes sense aside from Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins has always been.
He's never been like a number one finisher though.
No, and he won't be. I think he's the quarterback 8 or 9 on the season. He'll never.
No, like on a week, he's never like the
sure.
top guy. He's always knocking at the door of somebody else. But this week,
If you've got
no turnovers.
If you've got 2 receivers like Jefferson and Thielen, and you throw the ball 48 times, you're gonna finish in the top. You just will. But come on, man. That offensive play calling for the Vikings has got to be so frustrating if you're a fan, dude. It looks so awful. It just looks awful. But he threw the ball 48 times, 33 completions, 3 touchdowns. He did fumble it, but I think I think that was fine for his fantasy output. It didn't really hurt him too bad. Dak Prescott had an awesome game. Both Kirk and Dak, they had overtime. A little bit of stat padding there.
And walk-off touchdowns.
Jalen Hurts at 3. See, okay, here's the thing. This is why rushing quarterbacks are a cheat code. He threw the ball 26 times. He completed 12 passes. He had under 150 yards. He even threw an interception. But he ran the ball 10 times for 44 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the number 3 quarterback.
I traded for him, and I gave up Kirk Cousins, and I got Jalen Hurts and a second.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad trade at all. At the time, I really liked the trade. I don't love it as much now. Jalen Hurts has a lot of growing to do, and that Eagles team is. I don't know how I feel about the Eagles team as a whole. Zach Ertz is gone, so now we've got Goddard, who should be a very relevant piece for them. But otherwise, they don't run the football. Miles Sanders is being wasted. in Philadelphia. I don't understand that offensive.
So is Kenneth Gainwell.
No, I agree.
Nothing about that offense makes sense.
So that's why I'm like, Jalen Hurts is interesting. I would start him every week just because of the rushing upside and the way he plays. Because he plays hard football, and he's an athlete. But Matthew Stafford finished at 4. Matthew Stafford is playing really good football. 22 completions on 28 attempts, 4 touchdowns. He did have a pick, but this is the best offense Matthew Stafford's been a part of since probably the year he had Megatron.
No, this is the best it's ever been.
So, I mean, I feel happy for him, good for him. Like, the thing that sucks is they're in a very tough division. So I'm not concerned about that. Doesn't mean anything really for fantasy, but as a Stafford fan, I want him to do well. And then Patrick Mahomes rounds out the list here at 5. 47 attempts, 32 completions, 3 yards shy of 400. He threw 2 picks. Patrick Mahomes is turning the ball over a lot. The Chiefs in general are turning the ball over a ton.
It's the ball's being tipped a lot.
I agree with
that. I think I saw, and I'd have to corroborate this, but I saw 6 have been tipped.
Tyreek has had 2 off his hands. One of them was an interception. One of them was a pick 6. And that's weird. I do not understand how Tyreek, of all people, that's like a.
He's going too fast.
Yeah, he's got to slow down then, because that offense is going to have problems if he can't be a true number 1. Like, if he can't be the reliable guy. Speaking of wide receivers, we got CeeDee Lamb at 1, Cooper Kupp at 2, Adam Thielen at 3, Jalen Waddle at 4, and Donovan Peoples-Jones at 5. One of these things is not like the others. CeeDee Lamb will start off. Walk-off touchdown to win them the game. He was on the field for 87% of snaps, 11 targets, 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb is really good. I mean, there's just...
Yep. He is.
Cooper Kupp.
And he finally paid off. Cooper Kupp's he's going to be the wide receiver 1 this year. I don't think there's any stopping him.
I mean, that's probably a safe bet. I think that in points per game, I think at the end of the year, there's a very solid chance Antonio Brown could be the number 1 wide receiver in points per game. You don't think it's possible?
No.
I think it's certainly possible. Like, he's playing very, very good football. He's not on this list, but he is the number 6 wide receiver on the week.
He's played every game, hasn't he?
No, he missed a game. Actually, he missed a game and a half.
Okay.
But I wish he'd played every game. Adam Thielen at 3. Every single year we had a point in the season where I'm like, Adam Thielen is done. Like, goodbye. Like, he'll be semi-relevant. He'll catch a couple passes. Like, this is the Justin Jefferson show. And then we have a week like this. 98% of snaps. Like, he always plays a ton of snaps. 13 targets.
Yep.
He had a great game.
He's a good blocker, and he got a ton of targets this week, which is not his thing. He's like floating from 6 to 8.
Yep. Jalen Waddle, welcome to the party with Tua back. I mean, Jalen Waddle looked pretty dang good. He was also targeted 13 times. He had 2 touchdowns. Where are you feeling for Jalen Waddle, like, moving forward on the season?
I mean, I tried to get him this
off season
before the season in Dynasty. Yeah, they designed the whole offense to go around him.
Mm-hmm.
And he scored on a couple of slants, which was not really his profile. So I think the sky is the limit for that guy.
Yeah, I like him. I liked him a lot in Alabama. I think with Tua, Tua was the number 6 graded quarterback this week from PFF. I mean, he looked pretty good. He's not very consistent. We'll see how he plays next week. They were also playing the Jags, so take that how you will. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 78% of snaps, 5 targets, 4 receptions for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is a bologna sandwich. This is not. This is. I mean,
yeah. My older brother was trying to convince me that this is the guy to go get, and I'm like, he caught a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And yes, he scored. But
you cannot.
Like, I don't want to take points away from people, but Yes.
Well, you just can't tell me that with Baker's current injury status and the way that they throw the football, that when on the limited times that they're going to put him in a drop back set to actually toss the rock, that Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be his number one. You can't even convince me he's going to be his number two. Could this happen again? Yeah, I mean, sure, maybe, but I am not. If you are convinced on this guy, I would not spend any fab on him because you will be sorry. If I would,
I put 1.
Sure.
Just
That, yeah, no, exactly.
if Landry, it's gross.
All right,
on to the running backs.
Leonard Fournette, Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Darrell Henderson. Leonard Fournette is that dude. I mean, he's the dude that I feel like the Jaguars thought they drafted when they took him at number 5. And then they let him go. He got signed by the Bucks. He's looking really good with the Bucks now that they're not handing the ball to Ronald Jones. How do you feel about Leonard Fournette moving forward on the season? I mean, we're at the week 6 mark.
I mean, he's the guy.
Does that make you disappointed? You sound disappointed.
I have a long-standing hate relationship with Leonard Fournette. Ryan was like, he is better than Zeke, and I said you can suck it.
I don't think he's better than Zeke. I do think he's good.
I mean, they were drafted in the same slot, and he's always like, well, if he had been drafted to the Cowboys, it would be a whole different situation.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, like, just because of usage and stuff, that I could, but I just think that Leonard Fournette has a skill set that is valuable. I mean, he put up 30 points. He only played 63% of snaps. I mean, if they can, the trade deadline comes
he got 28 touches. No, so let's not.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, in general, I mean, the more you have a guy out on the field, the more opportunity he's going to get in general. If that percentage dips too much lower, then you get stacked boxes whenever he's in the game because they know they're going to hand the ball to him. It's like, oh, he's on the field. Say 50% of the time he's going to get 28 touches. Yeah, I know he's going to get the ball. So I think that's going to change. They're going to get Ronald Jones out of there. The trade deadline's in 15 days. There are teams that need running backs. So
yeah,
Jonathan.
No, I think they'll keep the depth. I mean, they still have him on a rookie contract.
Is he still on a rookie? I feel like Ronald Jones is old. Why do I feel like that
He's
all the time?
In his 3rd year.
Jonathan Taylor at number 2, my boy. It's happening. They're using him finally. Like it took Marlon Mack to tear his Achilles, and then it took Nyheim Hines to get banged up, so they're not using him every single 3rd down play. But Jonathan Taylor is exactly what we thought he'd be. He is a phenomenal back. I mean, he's efficient. I mean, 10 yards a carry, that's obviously not sustainable, but that's what he had this week. 2 touchdowns. I'm in love with Jonathan Taylor, and I don't care who knows it.
That's a little weird, but I'll allow it.
Joe Mixon here at 3. Good for him. He's got lots of usage.
Yeah, they just ran all over the Lions. Yeah. It was ugly.
Najee Harris honestly didn't have a very good game, but he has the volume. So, I mean.
Didn't have a very good game. Finished as the number 4, and I think he's like top 5 on the season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he gets like 20 plus carries a game. He gets targeted 3 or 4 times
30
a game.
touches a game.
You're going to get volume.
I mean, he's not Derrick Henry, but he's a light version of Derrick Henry. If you have him in PPR, he is equating to basically Derrick Henry.
Right. And then Henderson, 24.7 points. He also had over 20 attempts. He had a touchdown on the ground, touchdown through the air. As long as the Rams are comfortable with him, he's going to be fantasy relevant. And not just fantasy relevant, but he could be very good for you.
Well, I think they figured out how to use him. I thought they got Sony because they weren't sure how to let him go get free. I think Stafford has figured out how to use his skill set, how to integrate him into the offense, and you see the rewards of it. He's a running back 1.
Tight ends. Noah Fant had his best game of the year. They were trailing the entire game. Noah Fant's athletic, but I don't know how to feel about him as a.
He literally looks like he's athletic. I watched him at Iowa. He's a freak. He looks like a lineman
Yeah,
running down the field. He looks so slow
and I don't know why
this year.
I don't.
He doesn't look like he can beat anybody down the field.
But he had a good week. I mean, 11 targets. He was just getting hammered with targets over and over and over. When it wasn't Cortland Sutton, it was Noah Fant. So, Mike Gesicki finished 19.5 points, 9 targets, 8 receptions, 115 yards. Okay, so this is his second week of like very heavy usage. I know that they've got a lot of wide receiver injuries. Do you expect this to continue when their wide receivers are back, or do you think that Mike Gesicki is not?
I don't know what to
world?
think. I don't know.
Are you trading him high right now?
I mean, I dropped him after week 1 because I thought, oh, he's not going to be used, and then they lost all their bodies. Now he's being used. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this whole Miami team. They were playing the Jags is the context that I have.
I'm selling Gesicki high because tight end landscape sucks.
I mean,
I would go for somebody, even if a guy like if you could trade him for like a Schultz or something, somebody who's like maybe not gonna. I'm just saying like somebody who's like not a super huge boom guy, but maybe is gonna get like the 6 targets a game. I would rather do that, and if you can convince somebody that Gesicki's going to go off like this all the time, blah, 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 like I just want something more consistent. I don't know. I would be trying to sell him. Kelsey, number 3, no touchdowns, but 1 yard shy of 100, 11 targets. He lives here. Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews lives here too. 17.8 points, 6 targets, 5 receptions, and a touchdown. That dude's insane.
Yeah, I just want to bring up, Ian, that you thought that Cole Kmet could turn into a better version of this guy.
I mean, not with that coaching staff, I don't think. Sorry. And then finally, a name we have not said in I don't know how long. O.J. Howard rounds out at 5.
What?
I mean, dude.
Back from the dead.
I know, a touchdown. He had 7 targets, 6 receptions, 49 yards. One of his targets was a deep shot, like for a first down, like which would have been another like 20 yards. His touchdown catch was nice. It was like back of the end zone. I don't expect this to continue. To me, this is the best case scenario for the Bucs. Is they were getting his trade value up. Trade deadline's in 5 days, in 15 days. I know that the Arizona Cardinals just traded for Zach Ertz, but do you think they would have rather had O.J. Howard?
No, I think they would have been able to get him if they wanted him.
Sure.
He's a guy at the end of his contract coming off of injury. He had the opportunity.
Let's see here. But yeah, O.J. Howard rounds out the list at 5. I think it's crazy that he actually came back and played the way that he did, especially just after being not utilized at all for so long. So let's move on here. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, I guess, tight end wise, or anything from last week before we get going on this upcoming week?
I mean, Tom Brady leads the league in passing attempts by 21.
Gosh, really? I mean, the dude doesn't age.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's got the most passing yards too. I don't know.
I think doesn't he lead in touchdowns?
No, I think that is still Mahomes.
Wait, what? I feel like
Mahomes has 18. Yeah, that's just it. Everyone's Mahomes has been off. They haven't been winning. He's got 18 touchdowns. Like, calm down. As soon as they start catching the ball. He's got 8. As soon as they start catching the ball.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that he's going to look like a god again. Like, no one can touch him.
I mean, he basically is one. Yeah. Christopher was trying to tell me that he's human, and I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like 3rd in yards, 1st in touchdowns. I don't know what more you want from this man.
Who are the top 5 leaders in passing yards? Do you happen to have that up right now?
Brady, Carr, Mahomes, Stafford, Prescott.
Okay, that all checks out. I was really curious. I think Stafford also has like 15 touchdowns.
16.
16. Oh my goodness.
So,
I mean,
Mahomes, Brady, Stafford, Prescott, and then Herbert.
Herbert is
sneaking right.
I couldn't believe that game this week.
What happened with that
don't know.
game?
I don't
I
know.
didn't watch it, and
So here's a question for you before we move on. Currently, in your mind, who are the 3 top guys for MVP? In your mind.
Lamar, Kyler, Brady.
I am also of that mindset. Those 3 are like, and Brady's like.
Oh no, I gotta move Brady out. It's Josh Allen.
Right now I think it's Lamar, Brady, Allen. Kyler is great. Kyler's on an undefeated team. He's playing really well, but he's had a couple weeks that are like, whatever. Lamar Jackson, what he did against the Colts was insanity. Like 38 for 44. He had a ton of touchdowns. He had like over 400 passing yards on a team that is so depleted in its backfield and has like lost a bunch of defensive players. And they're only going to get better with Bateman coming back this week. I am very excited to see how that translates. But
yeah, I'm curious to see, this offense. I'm curious to see next year when all their running backs are healthy, what happens.
Oh, you know what? Another thing that we haven't talked about, we forgot to mention it on the injury. Kadarius Toney left the game with an ankle injury.
Yeah.
That's super sad. He was cooking too. The very beginning
fantasy
of the game.
superstar. They were winning because of him, and then they choked. They literally died without him.
I mean, that's so sad. So sad. All right, so we're gonna move on to game chasers. We did this last week. We're gonna talk about some games that we think you should chase for points. And my first one is the Packers and the Washington football team. I think that the Packers, with their injuries at the cornerback position, I think that you're going to be able to score points with Ricky Seals-Jones and with Scary Terry. Same kind of deal. I know that the Washington football team looked like it had its defense come back to life against the Chiefs, but you said it. The internet's saying it. Those were tipped passes. It wasn't like they were like being aggressive and going to get those interceptions. So I think the Packers are obviously going to score on these guys. I think it's just going to be a shootout.
I would agree that defenses don't know how to do anything. I'm a little concerned with the weapons from Washington. I would say, anytime Mahomes is playing, I'd want to watch that and be around that. And they're playing Tennessee, who, they haven't stopped the run at all. And right now, Tennessee's 17-20 with the Bills. I mean, it looks like they're figuring out how to play football.
The Titans have 17 points. Ryan Tannehill is 4 for 12 for 71 yards and an interception. Listen to that stat line again. He is 4 for 12 for 71 yards and an interception. That's insane. Like, what? I can't. I mean, Derrick Henry is not human. How do they have 17 points with that quarterback stat line, right?
He has a rushing touchdown.
Oh, yes, he does, for 4 yards. 1 carry, 4 yards. Even still, that's nuts, dude. Josh Allen, 24. Josh Allen's thrown the ball 31 times already?
Yeah. Why would you run the ball when you have Josh Allen to throw the ball?
I guess. Oh, my goodness. They should throw it to Dawson Knox more. Okay. Moving on here. You said you had Kansas City and Tennessee as one of your game chasers?
Yep.
My next game chaser, Ravens Bengals. I just think the Bengals are electric and they've looked really good.
And I think those defenses are both better than people realize.
I don't think the thing is though, even in defensive games, like offense, it wins out a lot of the time. It's just, I mean, you only have to beat a guy deep once. It's so rare to host like a shutout or even like just like holding somebody to 7 points. I'm fairly certain that both teams will get at least 2 touchdowns. I like the idea that Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon have a solid shot at being top scorers this week. And who do you have here for your final game?
Raiders Eagles. Raiders just, aside from playing the Bears with amidst the turmoil, have found ways to put up points, and the Eagles have found ways to come back into games and put up points themselves.
Dude, Derek Carr looked so good last week.
Yeah, they better extend that guy.
I don't know what's going to happen with any of those people on that roster, aside from Darren Waller. And even Darren Waller, I don't know what they're...
Yeah, they just need to extend him. You don't pull quarterbacks like that off the street. He may fluctuate a little bit. He's throwing a deep ball. Russell Wilson's the only guy throwing a deep ball better.
Right. All right, we're going to talk here about some waiver wire stuff. And again, just like every week, the guys we mentioned here, we're not saying to go get them. We're just going to discuss them. We're going to talk about if we would pay for them, what we're looking for like for these kind of waiver picks. For quarterbacks, Derrick Carr, I think, is a solid choice.
Yeah. I mean, if he's
available.
out there, Eagles, yeah.
It's tough because when some of these guys have a week or two that's really good. But here's the thing. You can only start one quarterback, and bye weeks are coming up right now. So, I mean.
It's bye-pocalypse next week.
Exactly. So, you're going to see some of these guys probably hanging out there. Like, for example, just in sleeper leagues alone. Let me see here. Oh, come on. Type for me. Derek Carr is owned, and it says he's only rostered in 49% of leagues in sleepers. So, I mean, he's out there. Kirk Cousins. Now, here's one who I feel like should be available. He is owned in 67% of leagues, so he's definitely way less available. I mean, he's been playing very good for fantasy, but, I mean, he's a guy who I would definitely play. And Jameis Winston is a guy who Michael Thomas is probably not going to play this week. He is eligible to come off the pup, but if you have faith in Jameis Winston, I think that's a guy who could very well be a solid QB for you moving forward.
Yeah, Jameis, who do they have this week?
That's actually a good question. I know they don't have the Panthers.
I don't own any Saints.
I could tell you. Oh, no, I can't. Not in that league, I can't.
Seattle.
Oh,
yeah
definitely play.
Yeah.
I would definitely play. I mean, so if who are you targeting as a QB? Are you targeting somebody who's different than these three guys, or are you liking these guys as your targets?
I mean, Tua or Matt Ryan, if they're available, they play Atlanta and Miami. They play each other. That seems to be like we're not going to play defense type of matchup.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on to wide receivers then. We talked about this earlier at the beginning of the show. Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm not chasing him. You dropped $1 on him. You won't chase more than that. I think it's not real. I think it's fairy dust. It's like it happened. Good for him, but it's not going to happen again. AJ Green.
Yeah.
Is it time that we start looking at AJ Green as a potential a flex option?
I'd rather have Christian Kirk.
You would rather have Christian Kirk. I don't think I would. I think I would rather have AJ Green.
With Zach Ertz coming, the big body, you're gonna have two of them. I would rather have Christian Kirk.
So, if you and I were about to make a bet, would you take Christian Kirk finishing higher than AJ Green by end of season? Because I would take AJ Green.
Boy, what are they at right now?
AJ Green is the number 34 wide receiver in PPR. And Christian Kirk is the number 26 wide receiver in PPR. So he's got about 9 spots on him.
I mean, I would say I'd rather have Christian Kirk rest of season.
Sure. I mean, that's fair. Well, we have to figure out a betting system, something that we can bet that is harmless but still fun.
We can bet money. I mean, it worked out for you last year, didn't it?
I mean, I think that the only thing that I lost to you is I lost the Zeke jersey.
Mm-hmm. How'd you do against my brothers?
I actually think I only made one bet with Zach. The other bet you're thinking of is 2 years ago, and I bet the Cowboys would be good, and then everyone on the roster died.
Yeah.
Which was unfortunate, but wish I'd have made that bet this year.
That was last year.
But Let's see here. So anyway, yeah, AJ Green. I like AJ Green. Sterling Shepard. He's coming back. Hopefully this upcoming week.
This season.
Yeah, this season. I don't know, man.
Yeah, if Kenny Galladay's still out and Kadarius Toney's out, I mean, he's been valuable.
PPR machine.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Waddle is probably not like, depending on your league format, he might be available. Definitely, people could have dropped him. They were getting frustrated. I would check on it.
Go get that guy. He's the one on his team.
Okay, running backs. Dearness Johnson is not extremely talented by any means, but he is going to be the number one option on a run-first Browns team with one of the best offensive lines. This is the 5th time, I think, this year that we've had to go and get backup running backs. Like, what was it first? You got to get Hubbard. You got to get Williams. You got to get the other Williams for the Bears. You have to get all these backup running backs because people are dying.
Booker.
Yeah, exactly.
It's running back. I would say if there's any backup running backs out there, just take a stab at them.
Yeah.
I mean,
just especially if you're like if you have nobody on your roster that is like you're gonna start, go ahead and just grab it back up. Yeah. Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris. Damian Harris is probably not available, but his backup.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he is.
But his backup is almost certainly available. He looked pretty good. He has talent, and like
I'd be willing to add him because they used him in the passing game, and if they get
get Jacoby Myers a touchdown.
If Damian Harris gets hurt,
then
Ramondre Stevenson kind of becomes the do-it-all back.
I agree with that, so I keep an eye there. And then Khalil Herbert, we had talked about this earlier too. I mean,
that dude can ball.
He can, and he was cheap, and he should be available on a lot of your leagues.
I stabbed at him in a couple leagues.
Just because
I got him. Well, I grabbed him actually as soon as I heard the COVID news on Damian Williams.
Sure.
People weren't sure whether or not he can come. So, Williams might be back next week, but Herbert's been useful.
Very.
And he was a bogus holding call from a monster game. Like, he had 100 yards plus and a touchdown. And he should have had another 26-yarder in there.
As far as tight ends go, again, if Ricky Seals-Jones, we talked about it. We called it last week. He was going to get usage. He looked good, especially for what you're going to get out of him, like price-wise. I like him a lot if you're streaming your tight end. Zach Ertz, I mean, some of these Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, definitely one of them could have been.
If Goddard is out there, oh my gosh,
you have
need
to
go scoop him up.
I might even be willing to trade for him just because Hurts looks like he liked him. He was splitting time. So if he's out there a majority of the time, I like him a lot better. They don't have any wide receivers, they've got Devonta Smith, and that's it. I
don't you dare say that about Quez Watkins.
Sorry. But that's kind of all we have for the show. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I feel like this week was fun, but and I did fairly well.
This week was weird.
It was
like
weird.
The previous week was like Points-a-Palooza.
Yeah, this
week.
This week there were a lot of. I want to say that every number one scorer this week scored less points than I think the number 3 guy did last week.
Yeah, and all I want to say is give me Brian Dable or Kellen Moore when we fire Nagy, because John Fox was scoring more points.
Yeah. I feel bad for you, but I don't feel as bad for you as I do for me as a Panthers fan. So, because we're looking like we are. Looks like we're regressing. I don't understand at all. If Sam Darnold is mediocre the rest of the season, we better not sign him thinking we can fix him. I don't want to deal with that for the next 3 years.
You entered a dance with the devil.
That was so dumb. But I think that's it. I think we're out of here.